here they are. And first of all, what do you think of the deck? I think it's so unique. The last time we saw something like this was like either Monster Mash decks with Gallis in like 2010 or with Sekka's Light, I want to say.
I mean, it's been a while, especially because basically the deck, as we mentioned before, basically can afford to play just, you know, the package of the Super Heavy Samurai Monster and then a lot of end traps. So basically, you prevent your opponent to basically, you know, activate their cards. But here the die roll would be relevant. Indeed, Sebastiano won it, and it started things off with the Piercer. So
interesting. So double Piercer. This allows him to play better against Droll and Lock. And obviously, as you mentioned, this is a very unique deck. Usually, combo decks are 40-ish, we could say, combo cards. But this deck is actually able to run even 12, 15 end traps, as you mentioned. And this would be the first real interesting question. Does Gianluca have a Droll and Lock or something along those lines? And
he does.
He does.
Yes.
So well played by his opponent in trying his best to play around it, but still will be quite annoying.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that being under Droll and Lock is super annoying for sure. But on the other hand, depending on your hand, you might also be able to combo off through Droll and Lock. Of course, your combo will be, you know, weaker than the standard one.
Yeah.
Still, depending on your hand, you might be able to extend a little bit. And I think that's what we're about to see from Sebastiano.
Absolutely. So something interesting about this deck is also the end that you want to come up with. Essentially, it's very interesting, the end field, and there are a lot of different ways that you can go for. Here we see actually the hard-drawn Theoren, which is huge. But as mentioned, there are some of these players who decide to end on like an Appaloosa. And here we might see a Ghost Ogre, maybe. Let's see. And yeah, here it is. But Sebastiano could potentially negate it. Looking at the extra decks, though, I can tell you that they are on two different builds of the deck. So Gianluca is more of a standard one, where you basically do go for a more, I want to say, standard combo with the Baron and maybe a Lambda. On the other hand, I really like Sebastiano build because he goes into the Bestial Dispeller, and that's a huge card.
Yeah. I mean, I really like this approach, but looking at his extra deck, I think the only maybe change that I would have done is having the second Zeus in the extra deck. Because sometimes he can be very powerful, but looks like that even being under Droll and Lock and Ghost Ogre, Sebastiano looks like he's not that impressed.
Yeah, at least he will be able to go for a Baron, and let's see what he wants to go for. Yes, and that is the Baron through two end traps, so well played. But if that's it, maybe he has a chance from Luigi. Obviously, there can be a lot of end traps in the end from his opponent, and already here we might see a Droll and Lock or an Ash coming down.
So I think he started with Bike, so he's going through his deck, and we mentioned this before that the real power of the deck is basically that he can start things off with just one card and let things go through. So, I mean, the deck itself with just one card can easily combo off.
Yeah, an interesting ad here from Luigi.
He took the scale, right?
Yeah, yes. Usually you go for other options.
I think he wants to force the Baron. I think he has a plan, which I think we haven't seen quite often.
Yeah, obviously going second, the deck changes a lot, and it's not some of the same combo deck. He cannot TK quite easily. But here, as you can see, going second scales is really good because you can special summon it when your opponent has two or more monsters. And obviously it has the reborn kind of like effect. Do you agree on this Mourner? I guess it's decent, but nothing spectacular. And here, obviously, this is really strong from Luigi.
But especially because, like, I think here the Mourner, I mean, seeing from Gianluca's point of view, I think it was quite clear that he was holding his next play in order to prevent Baron's activation. So the mortar was not really impactful. Maybe Sebastiano could have held it, but especially because like here, the thing is that where do you activate this Baron?
It's pretty pointless if that's all you have, because as you mentioned, the Scarecrow link pretty much does so much by itself. So unless the last card in hand would have been another interruption, he doesn't really have much of a choice. And yeah, he's gonna go for the Baron. And here we do see the Scarecrow, no response. And Luigi was actually holding even the Nibiru. Wow. Very impressive start here. But Luigi actually, interestingly, gonna go for the spring guns.
Yeah.
Because by doing this in this way, you lose out, obviously, on the search from the Soul Piercer. But at least you get to your Therion cards, and Luigi is actually maining 2 copies of Regulus.
Yeah.
But this is huge. This is a Zeus.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And I mean, I was mentioning this before, looking at both deck lists, the only thing that maybe I'm not so sure of is playing just one Zeus in Sebastiano's deck, especially because like playing against Kashtira, basically they can see your extra deck and getting rid of it.
And this is very well played by Luigi, who makes the Zeus, gets rid of a whole field, and can still go for the Regulus in main phase 2 to get back the Soul Piercer and potentially have another interruption. Very well played by Luigi. We mentioned that he has more of an experience, I would say, in this match.
Yeah, I mean, he's used to these kind of matches, especially playing at YCSs and the European level. He's an experienced player, so...
Missing maybe that breakthrough performance, I want to say, but like at the same time, even if you lose, sometimes you learn more by losing than winning. You know something about that.
I know it well.
And yeah, here we see the normal summon, and this is going to be a matter of reads, whether he thinks his opponent has something else in his hand, but still there is the Zeus, so this is a very tough battle for Sebastiano. Yeah, gonna go for the Link 1 once again. But the problem is that it needs to summon to the zone it points to, and this is game over straight away. You can Zeus, and this will be enough. I think Sebastiano knows it, and we are probably going to game 2 soon. Let's see whether Luigi will be able to just close this one out right away, and it should be just a matter of seconds. But very well played. We mentioned it though, this is a combo deck, but especially in Gianluca's side, he's actually maining 18 entrops. So that's a lot, even going second.
Yeah, I mean, but we really like this, especially because like we mentioned how this deck can be incredibly powerful by just one card itself, and can afford to play basically multiple hand traps. And I think the deck is super consistent, and I think what really might change the outcome of your event is the side deck.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we'll talk about that later on, but definitely that is the main difference between these 2 decks. On the one hand, though, I gotta say, although Sebastiano is playing less, because he's playing basically 14 entrops in the main deck, he is maining the Kashtira Fenrirs, which I'm a big fan of in this deck, especially after siding. We'll see.
And here, Gianluca is going to seal the game now, having a lot of damages on the field.
With the Train King. And this is more than enough.
And also the train is not super like we don't see the train being played.
No, absolutely
often.
not that popular, but as mentioned, it is Luigi who takes game 1. And what a show from both of these players. Definitely Samurai, I would say, being usually the second most represented deck of the format. although it's still missing that really strong performance. And if we have to find the one behind this, it's probably due to Kashtira, Arisart, and Shifter, because this deck needs to play with his graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the missing point that the deck is really looking for. I mean, sitting at this event, you really want to try your best, and having, of course, this amount of hand traps can stop Kashtira. But on the other hand, as you mentioned, playing against the Riser is incredibly difficult. Now taking a look at the side deck in general, how would you approach the mirror match? Because I don't think it's super easy, especially because like having all these options, you know, in the main deck doesn't make it so easy. So how would you side in or side out in this kind of
I mean,
matchup?
it's definitely interesting. On the one hand, it's not like you have that many options. For example, from Sebastiano, he has 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, which are amazing in this matchup, and give Gianluca a good advantage because instead he was maining 3.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much about all that he can side in outside of Kaijus, which going first you don't really want. On the other hand, though, Gianluca is already well prepared, and he has some interesting going second cards, such as the Pancratops. So we'll see whether that pays off. At the same time, it's really interesting that I think Gianluca is the first player I've seen which decides to side some spell and traps.
Yeah.
Especially the talent, which is very interesting. Probably for the idea of going into a Zeus, and especially against Kashtira, that's interesting because it will get banished and therefore you don't have it in the grave. But without further ado, our players are ready, so we can jump back into game 2.
Yeah, and Sebastiano started things off with the bike, getting the wagon, and I mean,
this is a good start. So let's see, no Ghost Ogre or no Droll. Wow.
Okay.
So it seems like Luigi drew a much slower end.
And here, let's see if for the first time we might be seeing Super Heavy Samurai in action without being, you know, stopped by any hand traps. I mean, Gianluca has, we have said it, 18. So I think statistically,
I mean, this, if I had to take a blind guess, but that's probably based on how I play this game.
Ay caramba.
Ay caramba. It might be the Nibiru bluff, because that's the only card you wouldn't be able to use right away.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a word in which Luigi is just bluffing this Nibiru. But especially when paired with like a Ghost Mourner, you know, one of those, it's super impactful in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Gianluca is sitting there just, you know, letting his opponent play his cards, and we cannot quite tell. Okay, there's a
interesting. So there is one of those side deck cards, which is the Ghost Spell. Usually this card is much more popular against, you know, Matmec, Branded, Labyrinth, but I think it's a very good staple in this format because of these many matchups. And here we might see the scales once again. And it comes down. Very good utility card, both going first and second. As you can see here, we might then go into a Synchro Summon. I think it's what makes the most sense. And this is obviously one good way to start things off, whether you can put the card back into the scale, search, and then summon back the level 2.
But looks like Gianluca doesn't have anything else.
I mean, we could still see the Nibiru, but it's not going to be too great because Sebastiano is not Pendulum summoned yet. He's going to have 4 cards at the end of this, and he can make a Baron. So if you want to make it, you should probably consider doing it now. And I think Luigi is allowing it. So let's see how greedy also Sebastiano might go, because he's playing the Dispeller, but this should be a Baron. And no, it does go for the grid line, going into the Bestial Dispeller instead of the Baron, and hopefully this doesn't cost him the game.
Il pater.
El Pater.
I mean, would you agree with this? I mean, it might be scary.
I think it's very greedy.
Yeah.
I think you win the game even if you don't go for this line. But this is amazing. And this is the opening that Sebastiano goes for. Usually there is also a Lambda. But obviously with the Ghost Spell, basically you get rid of 2 cards from your opponent end, and you still have the Dispatter, which gives you one more interruption during your opponent's turn, and this is huge.
Yeah.
So, well played by Sebastiano. Can Luigi pull off another miracle with just 3 cards in his hand? Let's see. That is a good way to start things off, for sure. Wow. And yeah, the Ogre even. This is starting to feel like an upfield battle for Luigi.
Yeah, with 2 cards left in the hand.
Yeah, he's gonna have a look at the Dispatter. Such a strong card. Not only does it summon back Omega, but when your opponent activates the effect of a monster, you can choose one banished card and put it back into the deck, and then you can destroy that monster or negate that effect.
I saw here Gianluca drawing the monk.
Yeah.
And question, will you play 1 or 2 monks?
Usually 2, honestly, I gotta say. I mean, although it's arguable, I think it's still important to play 2. You don't need that much non-engine, I want to say. Because even to draw it...
I mean, it's not that bad,
okay.
right?
It's okay. Like, it's totally fine. It's not actually a garnet, you know? You can actually search cards, so... Okay, here we see one of the extenders. So Luigi trying his best to fight back against this Dispatter. But the problem is that the Dispatter can be used even when the effect is not activated on the field. So we could see the Dispatter now. And this would completely shut the game. So I'm really surprised that he's actually not going for it.
You think is there a reason why he's still waiting?
No, I think he allowed it. Which is definitely surprising from Sebastiano. It looks as if he could just shut this game off. Because here there are some interesting cards, even like a Baguska we could see to just slow things down if he feels like that's enough. But instead we do go for a Synchro. No, okay, interesting. Okay. Aussa is the choice, which is a very nice deck in his opponent deck. Is there really another interruption from Sebastiano?
And this is something that we don't see often, honestly. Yeah, he takes back the scales, he goes with it, and I really like, honestly, this for Gianluca.
It's an interesting line. I'm starting to, I'm kind of skeptic that this does anything, but I think Sebastiano is reading the Dispatter now, and he should have really gone for it before. Unfortunately, now I think he has decided to negate the scales. Wow. I think he's risking this. Because now, as you can see, he's going to be able to crush and get a search from the deck.
And might be able to go to combo off later, no? So
yeah, he can, because he can go and get the Soul Piercer, equip it and go for the Link one, and potentially play. Which his opponent is just giving him a chance. Well, he should have just used the Dispatter as soon as the second monster hit the field.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, well played by Luigi, who is trying his best in a very tough spot. And thanks to one of these very unusual cards, I haven't seen anyone else play Aussa in the deck.
No, I mean, I really like this kind of, you know, play, especially because he lost 2 cards then the Ghost Ogre was there, and the Draw the Lock as well.
Yeah,
So
this is tough. But actually, yeah, I think you cannot use it because we are in the damage step. So very good catch by our judges. And unfortunately, though, since he searched for the level 2 bike, he's gonna know what he's up against now.
Yeah.
And it's not like he has a choice, which I think pretty much seals the game. Because either he goes, like the level 4 extender would be nice here, but he doesn't have it. So obviously now we'll see the draw, and I think this shuts down any potential play. He still has to go into the Scarecrow. But okay, no, he's just gonna pass. Yeah. And play is back to Sebastiano. Omega comes back, and this is very tough for Luigi.
Yeah, I think he just needs to find a way to seal this game.
Yeah. I think this is more than enough. I mean, there is no need to rush. There are still 24 minutes left in the clock, but it's quite likely that we are going to go to game 3 soon. Because I would expect it from Sebastiano. He played really well.
Yeah.
He knows the deck in and out, and he should be able to close this one out.
And I think also if I were Gianluca, I would just consider going into game 3 sooner or later.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, here he goes for the Scarecrow. But yeah, as you mentioned here, he's just free to combo off as much as he wants. He's just going to go for the Scarecrow. He still has the Pendulum Summon. And since he went for the Dispetter, which was kind of risky, he still has access to Baron.
Yeah, yeah.
Which pretty much means he can do whatever he wants right here and right now.
And nothing that Gianluca can do, unfortunately. Just, you know, sitting there seeing basically how his opponent is combo off. And yeah, I think we will soon see a Link Summon being from Sebastiano, and then also the Drain. And then Gianluca has seen enough. We will go to game 3 to see who will be the winner.
Absolutely makes sense. So 1-1, the score is even. And we will find out soon who will be the winner. And I'm not sure what can go down, because as we have seen, this matchup is quite unpredictable. You would think that whoever goes first has an advantage, but as we saw in game 1, if you draw some of these going second options, it's really tough.
Yeah.
And on the other end, I think Gianluca pretty much has whatever we just saw. He just plays his main deck, maybe switches the Gamma once again, keeping those Ghost Bells. But on the other hand, I think Sebastiano has a few more cards that are really good for going second, such as the Kaijus. At the same time, he goes and plays 3 Kaijus, which I think are really good against Kashtira. In the mirror match, so-so.
Yeah. They're okay. But he has a lot of options, as you mentioned, going second. He has the Ghost Ogre, he has the Ghost Bells, he has the Kaijus. I mean, he has a lot of different options. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the result of this match. We saw him doing this Spatter combo. Gianluca didn't have anything else going on. He just had the Gospel there, and no Nibiru at all. let's see now. Basically, it's not going to be easy, but once again, playing all this amount of hand traps in the main deck and also in the side deck gives you, you know, statistically a lot of advantage in the mirror match. It was not the case in game 2 for Gianluca. Yeah, looks like our players are almost ready. So we will soon find out who will be the winner of the game 3 and the match. Let's go back to the table.
Tension is in the air here, because for one of these two duelists, unless we get into a draw, and I think it's quite unlikely with 19 minutes, one of them will not be undefeated anymore, and it is Luigi who starts things off in a great way here with the Wakashi, setting up his other scale. And I think he also has a drawn lock in his hand.
Yeah, saw it.
So the big question is, does his opponent have one as well?
We will soon find out. I can tell that Sebastian is holding an Ash Blossom. That's all I've seen.
And there is no draw at the moment, at least it seems.
The thing is that if you draw the Ash Blossom without having anything else, where do you activate it?
Either, I think it's one of those decks where you need to pray that he's good on the first one. I think Ash is really, really subpar in this match.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, as you mentioned, you just, you know, let's say activate it at the first point and then you just hope.
Yeah,
enough.
and there is a Gamma. Ooh, but the driver is drawn. Wow. What an unfortunate draw by Sebastiano, who is forced to Gamma here. And I think this is brutal. If that's his only interruption, he's left with 3 cards in his hand, and Luigi can still do everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, here he activates the bike. That goes through, and I think, yeah, he has the Nash Blossom, and I think saw bike.
This is really, really bad if you are a friend of Sebastiano, because now we are setting up the Baron as well. Let's see. I don't think there is any response, therefore we are gonna get the search from the Piercer, and the Baron can be set up, which pretty much will seal the Nibiru option as well. Unfortunate by Sebastiano. It seems as if that driver might cost him the match.
Yeah, especially because, like, in this type of deck, you don't really want to draw. Like, you know, this...
And here, I think you can negate with the Baron. He's thinking about it, because obviously if there is a Nibiru, this is risky.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You can take the bet.
Yeah.
So here I would say the last hope is the Nibiru from Sebastiano, which actually would be amazing. But with double draw in Luigi's hand, it seems very tough to fight back. Interesting to notice, none of them is on the Ancient Gear package.
Yeah.
And usually you would go for that line over here. Instead, you can go for Lambda potentially, or for the Ausa, which we have seen. But it is true that he is playing 2 copies of the Therion.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can still access it.
I mean, I think it makes sense to play also like a different kind of variant of the deck without playing the box package. And I mean, the deck is super consistent. And on the other hand, you can afford to play, you know, the Lambda, which I'm super fan of, especially because like you can take the Gamma and then you can activate it. I mean, I really like it. And here, yeah, he goes with the Wagun and the Wakaushi as well and activates the Genius.
And although you're already has activated the Regulus and was negated by Gamma, there is a nice play that he can make since he has the Baron that has already used the effect. During the standby phase, he can use the Baron to bring back the Regulus and essentially still have a negation. And I think that's a really good play if he sees
he
it.
catches,
Yeah. Let's see, he's considering his line. I don't think he's playing Appaloosa. No.
No.
Yeah. So it's not like he can do too much with these. He could make maybe the Sarutobi, just because it's able to pop the scale, which I think it's pretty decent interruption, I would say. But yeah, for now, very well played. He can also go for the thief, the one-off. And yeah, here is what we are going to see. Or the stealthy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
There it
Lambda plus Omega search into his own copy of Gamma in the end phase. And this is very well played by Luigi. Nice recognition, and if you think about it, one card is gonna get banished, one card is negated by Regulus, and the last card is negated by Gamma. So this is pretty much checkmate from Luigi, and very well executioned. So let's see if he catches this Baron play in the standby phase. That's the only other important thing, I would say, and he does. So very well played by Luigi.
Good stuff.
No, nice. I'm really impressed
stuff.
with this play. Nice one.
Because here you go, you just go with the Gamma.
And nice handshake. Well played by Luigi. He is the winner of game 3. Welcome back to the coverage of the WCQ Italian National 2023. We are here with Gianluca, the winner of round 2. Congratulations.
Thanks.
First of all, it was a very nice match. We didn't expect a mirror match, but obviously, first of all, how do you feel going 2-0 in this event?
I think I'm fine with this event. I have tested more,
Nice.
and I wanna win to this nation.
Let's see, it's still early, but we wish you obviously good luck for the event. So first of all, why did you bring a Super Heavy Samurai?
Because I like the combo deck.
Combo deck?
I didn't like Kashtira autoplay deck.
Okay.
I didn't like.
It's nice, it's nice. It's definitely an interesting deck. We said a very unique deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you play 40 monsters. It's definitely something that you don't see every day, but it's definitely a good one. One thing that maybe surprises us was compared to your opponent, we played the Dispater combo. You have a different combo, which is pretty much Lambda and just Omega with the Baron.
Yeah, I didn't like this pattern because the Kashtira build plays Nibiru, and if you go to this pattern, you risk the Nibiru on the full board or Ash. I didn't like it.
And it paid off, so obviously good on that. But I have one more question, which is especially about the side deck. So obviously the reason why the deck plays 40 monsters is because most of them have the restriction of no spell and traps in the graveyard. And so what you see even in the side deck usually is 15 more monsters. But you actually have some spells, so Feather Duster and Talent. So tell us about that. Yeah.
The theory is I play Talent for Kashtira because with Arise I use the spell and my spell Duster or Talent
goes
go banished. Talent in the testing is very powerful than Kurikara because if I shift red, I can see my opponent end and I can build my field. go into Baguska or Omega is I think is more powerful.
I agree, and I think it's actually a very smart choice because at the end of the day, you only fear Shifter or a Risart. If they don't have those cards, you probably win. So if they do have it and you have talent, that's a win-win. And I think it makes sense. So maybe you guys, you're watching home, can take some suggestions from Gianluca, but thank you for being with us. Good luck for the rest of the event. And thank you guys. So this was the end of round 2. We will be back soon with round 3 and a lot more action here in Bologna.